never really open our eyes and lift our head up to see what's really around us. And I believe that with the environment that you're in, you're exposed to a huge amount of opportunities if you just, like you said, paid attention to it and felt like you had the tools to help you accomplish it. It doesn't take much. It really doesn't take much to understand that what people are offers and sees that they decide who to use for a certain service. Consumers will look at price. Consumers will look at, expense. Consumers will look at a lot of variables that have to do with the commodity. And I believe more often than not, they focus on that when the industry is commoditized, meaning that you don't see doctors commoditized. You don't really see attorneys commoditized. You don't see specialists commoditized, right? We really don't.
Right.
You don't see those. It never becomes a price war when you start talking about really, really significant things. But our home, which arguably is the largest investment of our life and probably the most complicated, simply due to the number of people that are involved in the transaction, the number of documents that you have to read, the number of signatures and initials that you have to place, it's a pretty big deal. But the consumers, and for the most part, a large percentage of the realtors, don't understand what really goes on. And I don't mean that in an arrogant way. I mean that in the sense of they've never really sat back and really analyzed what this business really takes in order to bring it to a successful closing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So you were a police officer, right? You've probably been involved in arrestings and bookings and in the process of taking somebody from point A to point B. I would imagine that you have certain protocols and certain preventative measures and certain things that you have to be an expert at.
Right.
But I don't ever see police officers being commoditized. Meaning I don't think you place what you do. You personally put a dollar amount on it because it was your living and it was an income and you needed it, but you don't see the service of what police officers provide ever commoditized, nor do you see a firefighter services ever commoditized. But our business is commoditized at the highest level. And I think that really comes into play because the marketplace, that's what they teach the consumer. I don't think the consumers have any clue about what goes on. And so when our clients walk through the door, I always believed that the relationship and how they got to us is honestly not only the best source of business, but it is probably the greatest chance that you can be insulated against what most people view our business as. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
In other words, when somebody refers you, they're coming to you because they believe you, they trust you, and they feel like they've got an endorsement, which means that subconsciously they trust somebody else to get the same service they got. They're expecting the same thing in return.
Right.
And when you ask yourself why a client chooses to work with us, you guys know firsthand you're not the cheapest shop in the market, right?
Right.
But I believe you guys are the best shop in the market when it comes to being a consultant, being a negotiator, and being a manager of fears and expectations. Is that a fair? I mean, mentally, that's the approach that we all have. We don't believe that we are. We don't believe that we are a phone jockey. We don't believe that we sit behind a cubicle and our job is to push paper. I don't believe that we show up to our clients and don't really care about them. We don't look at them as paychecks. We don't look at them as a commodity. We don't treat our clients like a commodity.
Right. Correct.
Do you believe that?
I do.
Okay. So when you think about our clients looking at us like a commodity, who's really the one that has to shift that point of view? Is it our responsibility to change that in them, or is it their responsibility to change that for us?
I believe it would be ours.
Right. No question. It's 100% our responsibility. So when you go through a process, whether it's the very first phone call, halfway through the process, whatever, we always control, and that's a key word, we are always the ones that are in control of our value to the consumer. And if what you believe is true, then every time you pick up the phone, you're not just doing a job. You're not just picking up the phone for a reason. You're not just communicating with people because you have to. You're picking up the phone and you're communicating to your clients because if your purpose is to amplify relationships, not only does it help accomplish what you said a little bit ago about getting more referrals, but it actually insulates you from having to compete against all of the other lenders that are commoditizing our business. It doesn't make it perfect, but what it does give you is the sense that your clients, when they talk to you, believe that you've got their best interest at heart. So a case in point, and I know that we talk about physicians, but we think physicians are elevated because they go to school for 20 years. The truth is, when a physician sits down and talks to the client, if they're going to go in for surgery, I've been in surgery 2 or 3 times for a couple knees and a bicep repair. Every time I went under, with anesthesia, the doctor always made it a point to tell me there are risks, right? I don't know if you've ever had surgery, but they always put the fear of God in you, don't they?
Yes.
Why do they put the fear of God in you?
Well, I don't know, to be honest.
I don't have an exact answer, but in my mind, I believe it is because that's how they manage my expectations. They always manage my fears by giving me the reality of what is possible. And at the end, when I come out of it and nothing goes wrong, I feel pretty damn good.
True.
It elevates their status with me. A doctor doesn't compete on degree, doesn't compete on the instruments that they use or the hospital that they use. Doctors do not get shopped based on those variables. Do you know what a doctor gets shopped against?
Performance, probably, the way they, not performance, but
You're getting
how
there.
much time they spend with you.
You know what I call that?
What's that?
So my wife, are you married?
Yes.
Okay, so if you were to go home and ask your wife, why does she use her doctor? I guarantee you her number one reason is going to be bedside manner.
Sure.
Do you know what bedside manner is?
Yeah, they care. Or they act like they care anyway.
They connect with you. They make you feel it's okay. They tell you that they're going to listen to what your wants, goals, and fears are and needs. They're going to give you their honest opinion. They're going to help you at the highest level, and they make the person feel safe, right?
Right.
You could go to school for 20 years and be the best educated, most advanced surgeon in the world, but if you have a poor bedside manner, you're not really ever going to exceed mild success. You'll be successful in your own right. You may become a professor or something else, but people aren't generally going to be attracted to you until those extreme cases where that stuff doesn't matter. I liken it to somebody that is desperate to get a house, has to get a house, doesn't care what price they pay, they just need it done, and you guys are the experts and you guys get it done. But most people use their doctor because of their bedside manner.
Sure.
And so that brings me to the point of what I'm hoping we're going to talk about today, which is, attitude. And the reality is that our bedside manner when we talk to our clients is the greatest insulation against our clients shopping us against somebody else. It isn't about what we say. It isn't about what we ask. What it boils down to is why we're doing it and how we're doing it. How is it making them feel? See, we're not fortunate enough to have thousands of leads coming into our door every day. But what we have the fortunate gift of is having quality people coming through our door every single day. So case in point. So I talked to an LO earlier this week who had, last week, she had 9 loans pull out midway through the process to the tune of over $3 million in loan volume.
Yeah.
That's painful.
Yep.
And she says, that's never happened to me before. And I said, wow. I said, well, let's talk about that a little bit. Tell me a little bit more about your business. Well, she goes, I want to double my production. Instead of doing 200 units, I want to do 400 units. I said, wow, that's pretty ambitious. She goes, I'm talking to 100 realtors a week, and we're averaging about 80 referrals a month. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. I said, is it possible that your clients who you're getting are not really referrals as much as they are leads? You're talking to the leads, but the quality of individual that you're getting is really more commoditizing you than they are connecting with you. When you have that many clients coming through the door, that many at-bats, it's hard to stay engaged and on top of it and focused on a relationship. And I said, one of the things that we have to realize is with the number of people we talk to every day, there's a limit to how much our brains can handle. And at some point, we start to fall into that mode of just getting it done. And I don't know how many times you pick up the phone and talk to people a day, Steve, but I believe that when you pick up the phone and talk to them, you're not very quick to get off the phone. You're probably very conversational. You're probably very personable. I'm sure in your previous life, you were taught how to connect with people and how to manage people's emotions and how to engage with them.
Absolutely.
And so one of the things that happens is when you start talking to 80 people a month, there's no way that you can really connect with every single one of them. And what ends up happening is you get a lot of people saying yes, but then they get through they start going through the process, and pretty soon they're bombarded with rates and fees and other opportunities. And we would be foolish to think that our clients, once they connect with us, don't have other people soliciting them for business,
Sure.
or at least for their business. So every day when you wake up and you come into the office, your job is to help retain a client and get a client. And the retaining part of it really boils down to it really boils down to your bedside manner. And that's what the whole mindset of everything we're working on over the next couple months is going to be really just how you connect with your clients and realizing to keep it top of mind that just talking to the client is what they get any place. Just asking them for documents, they get any place. Right. But connecting with them and looking for those moments that you can go, I'm about to call a client up, ask them for something. But instead of just going, hey, Mr. Jones, I need your help with something, and asking them for the document, calling them up and giving them something that provides you a chance to hear the word thank you. Like, Mr. Johnson, I just want to let you know we've tried going down 4 different other avenues to get your verification of employment. We tried the HR number, we tried calling your employer, we tried whatever the reality is, and we're running out of time. And unfortunately, the only way that we're going to be able to do this and still accomplish what you're looking for is to have you send this stuff over to me. I understand that you don't have an email address or you don't have access to a fax machine or whatever the case is, but let's strategize a way of how we can get this accomplished for you in a matter of, in a short order so that we can keep this thing going. Knowing full well that when you have a chance to accomplish what you've now described to him as a problem, you know that you're going to get a thank you out of it, right?
Yep.
And you now are conditioned to go, when you hear a thank you know what, Mr. Johnson, thank you for noticing. My team and I work really hard at making sure that every time we run into a challenge, we find a way as a team to help accomplish, to solve the problem and keep you on track. And that's because we count on people just like you referring us to the people they care about. Have we earned that right? And every time you're going to hear, absolutely. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy when you think about it. When you really analyze why certain, and I'm going to throw this out there, I know a great number of law enforcement officials in my career. Why do certain police officers advance through the ranks faster than others?
Well, in my experience, they're better people persons. I mean, it's a lot of people don't realize it, but a lot of your safety and your success in dealing with just the general public, in general even, is dealt with how you can handle them as people. I mean, once you have their respect, then your safety is guaranteed, and that transaction is going to go smooth.
Wow. That's pretty profound. It's kind of what I thought it was. Your ability to communicate and your ability to earn their respect and your ability to manage their fears and expectations, your ability to consult and analyze their fears, wants, and goals plays a big role in what you did in your previous life.
Yep.
You're not competing against a lot of people in your market that have your skill set. I can guarantee you that if you were to interview 15 loan officers in the marketplace, you'd be hard-pressed to find one of them that understands what you just described to me. Truly. And every one of those loan officers is closing loans. They may be closing 3 loans a month. They may be closing 10 loans a month. I don't know. But the truth behind it is that the reason that you're going to be successful isn't because of your rates, isn't because of your fees, isn't because you close your loans on time. Those are all necessary. You have to be proficient in those 3 areas. You have to be competitive. That's obvious. But what really separates you and what gets people referring you goes back to what I think, I don't know who said the quote, but people never remember what you say. They always remember what?
What you do.
How you made them feel.
Yeah.
I still get referrals from my past clients. For clients that I haven't done business with for years. Do you think it's because they remember the rate that I gave them? Or the fees that I charged them? Or the fact that we closed or didn't close on time?
No.
It was because of my ability to manage their fears and expectations. So in your day-to-day process, my promise to you is I want to get you to the place where I was back in 1998. I'd been in the business for a couple years, and I had started to receive my own referrals. I had started getting my own loans. My clients the clients that I was working with were referring me. They weren't referring Epic. They weren't referring Jeff. They were referring me. And that's a powerful realization that when you connect with people, they connect with Steve. They don't connect with Epic. They don't connect with Jeff. When you start to receive that kind of referral, and maybe you already have, you have now created a brand for yourself. And that brand expands by one simple feature, and that's your ability to be intentional with every conversation to seek out those moments where you can remind people to refer you. It also happens a lot easier when your first conversation, you set the stage. And I think a lot of times we get caught up in the busyness of the day and we don't take the time, but the truth is that is probably the most valuable use of your day. And I always took it very, very seriously. I remember Jim was the gentleman that got me into the business, and You know, you're getting an exceptional level of training from Jeff and from me and from everybody. I didn't have that back in 1995. It was really just, it would be like somebody handing you a gun, giving you a badge, and go, all right, go arrest somebody. You're like, oh, crap, what am I going to do? I mean, that's how it felt. And so through trial by error and trial by fire, I kind of learned and developed my skill set. The reality for me was that when I talked to the client for the first time, they'd already had a conversation with my mentor. And so I knew that my mentor was very inconsistent. And so I started every conversation with, "Hey, Mr. Johnson, this is Doug Catteray. I'm involved in the process of getting a loan approved and closed. You know, Jim's the promise maker, and I'm essentially the promise keeper. You know, I'm going to deliver everything he makes promises on. But in order for me to do that, I'm going to need some help from you." He may or may not have told you this or not, but our business is built on relationships and 100% built on referrals from people just like you. So as we go through the process, I just want to make you understand that I work really hard to take you through this and to have you be really happy. And if during the process you run into somebody that you know that needs a mortgage, I would love a chance to talk to them. Not we, I. And if you want to expand your brand, it only happens by either you doing it intentionally with people who don't know you, like you, and trust you, meaning you have to pick up the phone and cold call, or every person that you get a chance to talk to that is a potential referral source, you have those conversations with. And you know the crazy part about our business is, Steve?
What's that?
Everybody we talk to in our life is a referral source. I mean, if you really put it out there, everybody you talk to in your day and night could be a referral source.
Absolutely.
Now, you don't want that from everybody, but the truth is that your audience is as large or as small as you want to make it. So what I'm asking, and I think we'll hold off on the whole attitude thing until Mandy comes back. Maybe we'll catch up with her next week. What I want from you over the next week is really to continue having those conversations, but be more mindful that every time that you don't have those conversations or can't have those conversations, that's a lesson learned. That's a lesson learned of how am I expanding my brand. I mean, I would imagine you don't want to stay in this role forever. I'm sure at some point you want to be an originator of relationships and you want to be on the front lines and you want to be making the money that a loan officer makes. Is that a fair guess?
Sure. Yes.
So you have two choices in this business. Either go out there and drive into the business yourself and start from scratch, or use the security and the safety of the umbrella that's been provided to you, and you have a captive audience with people that already know you, like you, and trust you. Though indirectly, they do already. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. So I think, in my heart, I think not only are you great at talking to people, but I believe that if you have these conversations more and more, I'm willing to bet you that within the next 30 days that you could probably get 2 or 3 people referred to you directly, and for you to handle the process of meeting them and setting expectations. And you are licensed, right?
I am. Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. So there's nothing
states.
You can't. You're what?
17 states, I said.
Man, good boy. That's awesome. You're kind
I can't use them all. I can only use one.
You're kind of a big deal, man. Well, we're getting there. I don't know what the 17 states are, but we are licensed in about 10 to 12.
Awesome.
The company-wide. So point is, I want you to do something for me. I want to see over the next 30 days if you can accomplish getting a referral directly to yourself.
Okay.
Meaning you now get credit for the client.
Okay.
Is that a fair challenge?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been fortunate enough to already get 2 or 3 at this point, but I mean, I want to keep rolling and get more.
Okay. So out of the 2 or 3 that you have, These are people that you've met with, that you've started a process with, or are they just leads?
No, I've met with them, started the entire process. They were referred directly to me because of me, that kind of thing.
Okay, did you have the conversation like we've had before about setting the stage?
The two of them were before you and I met.
Okay.
But the one,
Okay.
yes. The one, yes, I did.
Okay, so between now and when those 3 transactions close, the rule of thumb for me is a 30% conversion rate. So out of those 3, your goal is to get 1 referral out of those 3. That's
Okay.
a realistic conversion ratio.
Okay.
I would also like to see you get 2 more within the next 30 days.
Okay.
And what I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to really pay close attention to how and why you got the referral.
Okay.
And it isn't because they like you. That'll be part of it. It isn't because you did a good job. That'll be part of it. But a large part of it will come from how deliberate and intentional you are at setting the stage.
Okay.
Did I tell you the story about my wife and the loan that I had her handle for me?
Yes. Yep.
It goes back to really that. You're about 50 to 60% more likely to get a referral from somebody during the process if that was the agreement that you made with them up front. And when you say, remember, please don't keep me a secret, we're counting on you, it comes back to the same thing that they're saying to you, maybe not as directly, but remember, you promised me a rate, you promised me a fee, you promised me a closing date, you promised me all these things. But yet we never put that pressure on our clients. And it's harder to do it during the process when you don't set the stage correctly.
Right.
Just keep that in the back of your mind.
Okay.
Make sense?
It does.
Awesome. What questions do you have for me? Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I have. Actually, I had a question that came in today with.
Yeah.
So, working on a team. It's kind of off subject, but working on a team. Greg made some pretty awesome points there at our luncheon, and with your many years of experience, how can I influence just teammates to support me? So, for example,
Right.
And right now it's a little difficult because we're down a person and her job is
Right.
calling on all of us, but mostly me, I would say. But so, like for example, there's a borrower's authorization or something like that that's sent out with an email I send out that's requesting docs. It's supposed to be that I send this email out and somebody else chases docs down. Well, I can go and kind of turn and burn and keep bringing more and more stuff to the door.
Yep.
But it doesn't really always happen that way. So, like, for example, I got a message earlier this morning that said, hey, there's no borrower's auth in the file. I can't order a VOE. And that's the end of the statement they make. And I'm like, I don't say anything back right away because I think my personality is different. I'm more of a solution-driven person where
like
you gave me a task.
It's easier to do it than it is to ask for help.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, okay, well, call the client and ask for it. But they won't. So I have to stop what I'm doing, track this down. I'm like you said, I'm sure it's an attitude thing where I feel like, oh man, here I go, I do your job, which is not the right attitude, I know, but I guess how do you influence teammates to
be more service-oriented?
Yes.
It goes back to what Kevin said at the luncheon. And I think Dale Carnegie is the one that uses this quote: if you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. I think as a leader, to be recognized as somebody of value, we have to make deposits in people's emotional bank accounts. And it's not easy, it's not perfect, but generally speaking, it starts with attitude and how you show up every day. And a lot of times, the people that you connect with, the people that you have a relationship with, so here's a case in point. So there was a woman that when I first got into the business, she was our underwriter slash processor at the company I started with. Her name was Trisha. Trisha, by all accounts, was phenomenal at her job. I mean, just the cat's meow. I mean, just she was the shit. But it came with a price. She was arguably the biggest man-hater bitch you'd ever meet. I mean, and honestly, if you had something between your legs, she would soon rather cut it off than she would talk to you. I, in my position, was forced to have to work with her to get the files through the process. I learned very quickly that in order to get what I needed done, I needed to be a suck-up. Not in the sense of being a suck-up like I brought her flowers and stuff, but I spent a lot of time listening to her, talking to her, not about files, but just, you know, going out of my way to make connections with her, finding out about her kids, finding out about her life, what she likes and didn't like, find ways to make her laugh, and I spent a lot of time connecting with her. It actually paid huge dividends because in my career, she's been at 3 companies that I've all been at. It started with the company I was with. She came over to the company that I opened, and she spent some time at the company at Success. And that had never waned. That relationship that she and I had never waned. It was a blessing. I go back to a lot of times people, when they say that they're not willing to help or they just push it back on you, isn't so much that they're not willing to help you, but what they are is feeling like what they're doing isn't appreciated. If I was you, if I was in your shoes, and I'm trying to get people to buy into what I'm trying to help accomplish, I would spend more time seeing how I could help them, you know, whether it's, you know, ask for feedback. What can I do to improve what I'm doing for you? How can I make your job easier? And then beyond that, people just want to feel like they're part of something. And I'm willing to bet you that if you spent the next couple weeks talking to them, take them out for lunch, go buy them lunch. I don't care what you do. Bring them something. Bring them a card. Send them a text. Send them an email. I don't care what it is that you do to them, but you have to find a way to make a deposit in their life. People, and this is going to get well beyond what I was ever going to talk to you guys about, but humans have an emotional bank account. Your wife has an emotional currency. And I'll give you an example. My wife loves flowers. She loves them. If my wife brought me flowers, I would roll my eyes. I'm like, really? I don't want a flower. That's not my currency. So she knows that if she wants to thank me for something, she's got to arrange a babysitter so we can go do date night or something. Or she's got to let me go to the gym, or she's going to, you know, let me pick the movie that I want to watch, or, you know, let me go to the movies by myself, or whatever. She knows what my currency is. My currency is acts of service. That's it. And quality of time. It would be really cool if you found out what this person's love language is. For example, there are 5. That love languages book that I talked about, there's 5 currencies.
Yeah, I've read it. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you know what the currency is, and if theirs is words of affirmation, acknowledge it. You know, acknowledge it. If they like acts of service, find out ways that you can help them in their day. Maybe there's something going on. Maybe there's something that you can help them with. And I will tell you, something as simple as a joke or something that makes them laugh just makes you different to them. I don't know. It's worked for me. It works for me, and you know, and ask for feedback. You know, what can I do to make your life easier? What can I do to improve my craft? And do it. and then pay attention to them and really build a relationship. That, I mean, most of us come and go from work every single day, and we don't really realize that the people that are in our lives that help us accomplish our financial goals, we don't really know. We don't really pay attention to. And any time that you get that kind of a response, like an unwilling to just take it a step farther, is usually because of the way we treat them. At least that's how I view it.
That makes sense.
Is that person Mandy?
No, not at all.
Okay, because I'm recording the call and I want to send the replay to Mandy, so I just wanted to make sure that she wasn't going to be like, what the fuck?
No, not at all. She's
Good.
actually she's great at what she does. So
good. Yeah, Mandy's a rock star. I love it. She's great energy all the way around. And that's it, man. That's all I got for you today. Is there anything else I can help with?
No, I appreciate your time very much as always.
Is this helpful at all?
Yes, very much so.
Good. Make the conversations intentional, buddy. You only get one chance to make a first impression. Don't miss the opportunity to set the stage. It helps catapult you to where you want to go quicker.
Absolutely.
Make it a great day, brother.
Thank you. You too.
All right, buddy. Be good.
Yep.